Today, Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have Scott Coker. He's the president of Bellator and an incredible entrepreneur. I love sports entrepreneurs, obviously. Scott, welcome to the Playbook here with Entrepreneur Magazine. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. Well, I love these newer sports that are just now doing well. I was looking at, when you sold Strikeforce for $40 million. I remember the deal when I was with Leigh Steinberg at the time, running that sports agency. And at that time, I'm like, what the heck are they thinking? And now I wish I would have bought it for $40 million. It's absolutely the way these limited commodities work. Building a business, though, from the ground up, really, in a traditional sport is one thing, but doing it in a newer sport is another. What are some of the challenges, number one, that you faced growing the business? And then how did that experience help you with, obviously, this compressed uncertainty we're in as you're launching in a couple weeks to have live events again?
I'd say this has been an interesting time, and we've done so many great things socially and digitally to connect and reconnect with our audience. And there's still a big appetite for product and content out there. And what we did was let's say we took back and we call it recharged. And we redid a series of old fights that we've done for the last 5 years. But we had Big John do a new intro, a new opening, a new, let's say the middle of the show segues, and basically take his opinion on it and basically create some fresh content. And then also on digital, we created a whole new show where the fight already happened, but this time on the sidebar, we have a new commentator named Robin Black, and we have the fighter that actually fought in the show. And they're commentating on the show as you're watching it, for the second or third time, but you're hearing the fighter's perspective of the show, of the fight as it happened. And that's something I love because, to me, it's not just, watching these fights. For me, studying martial arts and being martial arts my whole life, I want to know what the fighter was thinking before this happened or that happened, or how did he set it up? Because in MMA, it's really about the setup. And, sometimes you get lucky or you get the big shot, but, usually when it goes to the ground, those jiu-jitsu guys, man, they are 4 or 5 steps ahead of you. And I love that. So, we've been creating a lot of new content and, getting ready to get back to starting to do some live fights. But, we still connect with our audience through social and digital. And, that's something that if you think about, 10 years ago or 20 years ago would not even be a possibility.
Yeah, and there's that emotional attachment. Mike Chandler's a good friend of mine and a huge fan of his because of his heart, right? You're a guy that's a gritty athlete himself. And I love how they explain how they're feeling as well, beyond the setup. Because, a lot of people that watch, they want to know, what were you feeling there? Were you thinking that you were going to lose? Were you disappointed? Were you excited? Were you mad? And I really love that insight as I'm watching it. The other side, being a marketing guy, is there's a whole new realm of real estate. And I know, like CBDMD, the first public CBD company, is your partner, and you're utilizing them in a variety of different ways. I don't even think they imagined when they created the partnership, which will carry on past post-vaccine even. I think we found a whole new revenue opportunities that will complement or supplement the traditional, ring stuff that we do and the normal sponsorships that are available. What are some of the best lessons that you have learned beyond the content side, on the sponsorship side, of new revenue opportunities?
Well, I'll tell you, CBDMD is the first CBD company that was greenlit by Viacom, a public company, to subscribe on their platform. And what I mean, meaning Bellator, because Viacom owns Bellator. But also, it all started with kind of an organic process of getting to us through the fighters. I kept hearing, hey, this fighter has a CBDMD deal, this fighter has a CBDMD deal. I started researching it, and I said, wow, this is a pretty amazing company. And we finally connected after about a year of them sponsoring our fighters. And we said, you guys should get involved in the brand. It was a gentleman, by the name of Hans Molenkamp that put us together with CBDMD. And when we connected, there's so many synergies that what they were trying to do and really grow this into a national product. And we had a great vehicle. We had TV exposure. We had great digital numbers. We have international footprint. We do fights all over the world. We have TV deals all over the world. So we started connecting. And, this is something that I personally believe in. If you go to my house and you look at my medicine cabinet, being, over 50 years old, closer to 60 than 50, by the way, you'll see a lot of CBD product on my shelf. And, it's something that really helps and has been really great for our athletes and great for the company. And I have no problem reaching out to the guys and saying, hey, can you send me over some of this or some of this? Because they're great about that. But, talk about a complete new, like you said, a new product coming to the marketplace. And I think it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And we finally got them greenlit to where you'll see CBDMD now on Viacom's platforms, doing 30-second spots, doing 15-second spots, integrating them more into our show, integrating them more into other shows on other networks, because it is approved now by Viacom.
And I think with Bellator, one of the things I've noticed as well is your relationships, not only to those partners and sponsors, but your relationships with your fighters and athletes. It's heads and above any of your competitors. It's something that in the industry, we all talk about how they're treated. And what are some of the values or strategies that you use? Because you're definitely treating people, as I always say, you're being kind to your future self. Let's just say that way, that people say really nice things about the way they feel while they're fighting with you and for you, and the sponsors, the way they're treated as well.
I really believe that at the end of the day, listen, it's a business, but this is a people business. You're in the business, and this person sitting across from you is let's say one of your biggest fighters or one of up and coming guys or girls. But it's a people business. And I think that early on I learned when I was promoting for K1. I had a gig with Japan, named a company called K1. And I went over there for back and forth for 10 years, helped them promote fights in Vegas. But it was part of my, my promotional journey, let's say, growing up. And the one thing I learned from Kazuyoshi Ishii, who also is a martial artist himself, very, very, superior martial arts pedigree, comes from, there's a very famous Japanese karate master named Masayama, and he was a student of his. So the lineage is, hundreds of years. And he said to me one time, because he had all the best fighters in the world at that time, and MMA was not really around, it's just a little bit. He said to me, Scott, as you grow as a promoter, you have to promise me you'll take care of your fighters, because without your fighters, you have nothing. This is your talent. These are people that fight for you. They pour their heart, their soul, their martial arts spirit, and they're putting their life on the line every time. You have to treat them with respect, and you have to be nice and courteous. And of course, there's a business component. You want to be fair, but at the end of the day, these are people that compete for you, that risk their lives for you, and it's the Bushido, it's the Buddha way for you to take care of them, and that's really what he was about.
I love that. My nickname is the Ferocious Buddha. So
okay.
I'm ferocious about getting out of my own way and Buddhist about getting to center. But we both have Eastern influence in our lives, you being well-trained in the martial arts as well. Can you share with us one of the lessons that you've learned from martial arts that you apply to business?
It's amazing. I really haven't talked about this much, but I grew up in a martial arts household, let's say, and I went to the martial arts school when I was 10 years old, and I really haven't left. I'm still there today, so to speak, right? But I wrote a mission statement when I was 16, and I said, in my life, I'm going to continue to teach the ways of martial arts, and I'm going to compete. I had all this stuff that I was going to do. Never being a fight promoter, but it was always like, I want to own a school. I'm going to go compete in the Olympics. I'm going to go, I had all these goals at the time. But, when you talk about the life skills that martial arts teaches you, right? It is the same with business, because you have to have perseverance. You have to have indomitable spirit. You better have character. Otherwise, it'll be a short-lived business, right? And you better have, basically the ability to, grow as a person, grow as a business, right? So to me, everything I learned in martial arts directly applied to being in business. And, we would, and I owned some martial arts schools for a while. So it taught me the business side of being in a martial arts business. And I applied that straight to my fight company. And then, so it was really just like, martial arts, business, and how you conduct yourself, how you grow it. To me, it was exactly the same. And so to me, I had personal goals, I had business goals. But this, for me, it's been a 35-year, let's say, martial arts fight promotion journey and martial arts journey. And to me, there's no difference between, let's say, myself as a martial arts teacher or martial arts, school owner or a martial arts practitioner and business, because they are directly in sync with each other. So that's my feeling.
That's awesome. The perseverance is a huge thing, but along with it, that I've learned as well from my time in Korea and Asia working, was I love the consistency. And, one of the things that is truly a component of success is someone that, through the ups and downs, through the lessons that they learn, what I call the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and financial pain that is involved with being an entrepreneur of any kind, it's the ones who are just consistent and they allow things to happen. And eventually, usually at the right way, at the perfect time, always later than we had thought it would happen, our coincidences start coming and people think we're lucky. How important do you feel consistency is?
Well, when I sold Strikeforce, right, I remember saying, "Oh, he got so lucky," and he did. And I said, it only took 25 years to become an overnight success.
I love,
right?
Tell everybody one more time.
It only took 25 years to become an overnight success. Really, that's really what it is. I mean, very few people in this life, I think, haven't had that long, just the grind and just the, that just like perseverance, and you got to pound it out. And every day is a grind. And then, and then you get lucky some days. And then, business happens. But, people were telling me, "Hey, you got so lucky." And I'm like, lucky? This has been a lifelong journey. This is not something that just happened overnight. And I think people, they feel like, oh, because they just heard about it and then bang, it's gone, Yeah. I tell you who did really well was my partner. Only for a year and a half was the Silicon Valley Sports Entertainment Group. And they owned the San Jose Sharks and the building here. And we wanted to buy a company called Pro Elite at the time, which had all these great fight contracts. And so we bought them, and then they injected a bunch of money. 18 months later, they cashed out and they were on their way, But it was the 25 years before that made that possible.
Right.
And listen, we all took a risk, and it is what it is. But I feel like for them it was like, hey, this is a great business. What an easy way, we should do this again.
Right.
I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. That's 25 years of hard work that got to this point, so you could have your exit strategy. But listen, it's it's a big boy business, and I still love Strikeforce. And when I think about all the great things that we did in that company, and it's an historical company, and I think that's why people still talk about it today.
Yeah, no, you have created a legacy. I always say when people call us legends and legacy, you're like, wait, that means I'm old, right? when did that happen? One of the things that both of us are facing in the industry right now is the idea of no live events. And pretty soon we'll be back to normal and have live, or semi-normal and have. How much value do you see in your sport that is put onto the live event?
I would say when you talk about, going to a big fight, usually the audience is the big part where they're cheering and they're yelling. And then, I tell you, this is a true story. In 1989, I went to an Anthony Robbins seminar, right? And it was one of his early seminars. Only had like 200 people there, 300 people maybe. It was like tiny. And he said, he did this drill, and he said, what do you want to accomplish? What do you see in the future that really attracts you to where you want to go? Or it was some type of a drill. So I closed my eyes and I said, I could even smell the popcorn in the building, right? It's like I could hear the DJ playing the music. I could see in this vision the fighters entering the cage, the ring. It was a ring at the time. And I saw this whole thing, this vision of what I wanted this product to look like, this is back a long time ago. And really it's, the fans, you need the fans to make it not authentic, but make it, feel with the passion and the that emotional connection. Like if you're a fighter and I'm fighting I got dropped and I got to come back, it's usually the fans that get you excited to where come back, come on, but now it's like crickets, right? So
I love that.
You're looking around and I get dropped. Well, maybe I'll just, I guess my point is you need that emotional connection, and with a fights today, which we're going to start July 24th. We're going to do fights with no audience. And it's going to be a little weird, just like, other companies are doing in boxing and MMA. It's going to be a little weird because we're going to be just like them, in that there's not going to be that connectivity between the fans and the audience, and that, that loud roar when something exciting happens. A guy gets dropped, it's going to be like, it's going to be a little bit different, But I'd rather take that and provide a great TV product to our partners and international partners than not do it at all. Because listen, the fighters have to fight at the end of the day. We owe it to them to fulfill these agreements and make sure that they're okay and that they're working. And so we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. And that's the timeline.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's probably some fighters, just like other athletes I've dealt like you for so many years, that will benefit, the ones that get up too much, right? That probably need a little bit of a lull, because there's a lot of fighters that need to get out of their own way. They're ones who are well prepared, but I see it all the time. They're just too hyped up. And then, they get out there and there's so many fans and they're leaving it before they get in the ring. And then there's others, that need to feed off the crowd that maybe won't get off the mat because there's nobody there screaming, get up. And so there is a new nuance to it. I joked around, I'm a big football fan. So I just said, my LA Chargers, they'll probably be the best team this year because they're used to playing in front of no fans. So, the other teams will be like, why are they so inspired and motivated? There's nobody here. What the heck? We've been doing this for 10 years.
I'll tell you, that's really funny. But, in a way it's true, because if you think about sports, and I'm a big Niner fan, right? So you go to Levi Stadium and it's 4th and 2 on the Niners too. And, Seattle has the ball and Wilson's going back. It's that crowd, that 12th man that brings it and just really almost wills it to make it so loud that he can't hear, right? Well, that's not going to be – I don't think it's going to happen in football either, to be honest.
No, I think
it's going to be a no audience type situation for, another 6 months or so.
Yeah, and so, a lot of questions are asked of me of the facilities themselves. And, there has to be some sort of recreation or re-engineering of the facilities, because it will be a stage type of thing. Eventually we'll get some people in there, and hopefully post-vaccine we'll have, full crowds again. But, these venues are taking a hit, and, it may not be a while until they can be profitable. Do you think we're going to have a problem with venues surviving, or you think they'll just be like an airline restructure and everyone will just get discounted properties, like Tillman will swoop in and buy 6 venues?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like the city actually owns the venue here, right? So they're going to be fine, and they'll allocate funds, but they're probably shut it down to the point where skeleton crew. There's not a lot going on. It's not generating any money, but it's not a lot of cost, to probably. I mean, it's probably expensive, but it's still not like it is when you have a full venue and you're operating with a full staff. So they're going to ramp it down, and I think that excuse me. I think that when you see companies like Live Nation, right, get in trouble, that's when you go, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I never even thought, like a company like Live Nation, right, that was so massive, owns Ticketmaster or this, or owns all these venues, and it's been the iconic concert promoter for so many years around the world. They have to take in Saudi money, to inject to survive. Think about that. That is a crazy statement, right? And that's just the world we're in. I think that the city-owned buildings will be okay. They'll just ramp it down. The city will, fund it and take care of it. But it's the private venues, like you said, that aren't working. And, think about, the beer, the food, the concessions, the merchandise, all the ways that they make money, right? And the Ticketmaster fee, rebates and all that. It's quite a business, and it just went away. And never in my lifetime did I think that, you'd be throwing a curveball this hard. And it's pretty shocking. But, I would say a lot of people are, resilient. Let's say a lot of business have become resilient and change their business structure and had to make changes in the staff or did this or, but now I feel like at least there's some normalcy in my community here. You can't go inside and eat yet, but you can go pick up your coffee, or you can go to the mall and order ahead of time. They'll come bring it to you, whatever stuff you want. And then, we're able to go start doing live events in a closed environment, which, by the way, you probably won't have more than, 50, 60 people in the building during a live event for a fight, and so that's what it is. But I think people have to adapt right now. And, the restaurants are doing takeout and DoorDash and all this, all the other stuff that they're doing. Adapt and survive. And they just have to survive until, like you said, vaccine comes, and then people can get back to normal life. But it is unbelievable. I mean, I never thought I would see this day where, we're hit with a pandemic like this and a virus like this. I just thought it was not possible anymore. But, it is what it is, and we just got to keep on moving on.
Yeah, like Bellator, it hit us fast and it hit us hard. And I think it's just ironic that, some of your key fighters, they're more afraid to be outside the ring than they'd rather be inside the ring. It's a lot safer.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I will say is, by the time the fighter fights in the cage, he will be tested 2 or 3 times that week. It's going to be the safest place on the planet to be, is inside that little bubble, right? And, Viacom is a big supporter of health and safety first. And, they have productions that are just now going to start, TV shows. They have to be very careful. And so, they created this protocol sheet that really has been extremely time consuming. We will abide by it, and we are figuring it all out. But, that's the beauty of working with a company like this, is that they are really about, the safety of the people that work for them and the safety of the athlete and all the producers and directors. And so there, it's something that you'll see that when the fight happens, like I said, it'll be the safest place on the planet to be.
Yeah, I can't wait. You provide such a great product, and the content that you have lately too has been exceptional. And I just was so excited to have you on to help launch those live events and express my appreciation too to the company that I work with, CBMD as well, and was introduced by Tito to it, or Jorge at the Super Bowl actually, and started using it myself. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, what an incredible journey, incredible lessons. I appreciate you so much, Scott, coming on Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.